Welcome to the second module of our IAS number 16 learning journey. In module number 2, we are going to discuss the minimum recognition criteria that must be met in order to recognize an asset as PPE. First of all, in order to recognize an item of assets as PPE and recognize this asset in your financial position, this asset must have probable future economic benefits. So ask yourself, will this asset generate or save money for the company in the future? So if the answer is yes, so in this case, the asset will be considered as PPE assets. So what are the forms of these future economic benefits that PPE assets contribute to? The first form here coming that it can directly generate revenue. Think about a production machine in the factory. This machine is producing product and the product will be sold in future in order to generate future benefits to the company in terms of cash flow to the company and revenue as well. So in this case, the machine is directly generating revenue. Another example, think about delivery trucks that handled material to the customers or bring materials, products to the customers. So they are contributing to the sale activities. So they are contributing to generate revenue. This is the first form of the future economic benefits that PPE assets can bring to the company. Number 2 of the forms that PPE assets can achieve future economic benefits to the company is reducing the cost. Think about energy efficient building that you construct in order to lower the utilities and electricity bills. So in this type of assets, you constructed this type of assets in order to reduce the cost for the company. So reduction in the cost is another form of future economic benefits. Another type of forms is improving operational efficiency. Any type of assets that you purchase that will improve operational efficiency can be considered as a PPE asset, considering that the other conditions have been met, that it is tangible and it will held or kept for long-term use and provide future economic benefits as we explained. So if an asset doesn't meet any of these criteria, so it wouldn't be qualified as PPE assets. The second important condition and criteria in order to recognize the PPE assets is the reliable cost measurement. Once you are confident about the future economic benefits, we need to ensure that the cost of the asset can be measured accurately and reliably. This means that the amount assigned to the asset on the financial statements should be a faithful representation of the real cost that you paid in order to acquire that asset. And here are some factors that contribute to the reliable cost measurement. We have two factors that might help us confirm the ability to measure the cost reliably. Number 1, the verifiable documentation, such as purchase invoices, receipts, and other documents that provide evidence on the cost incurred in order to acquire the PPE assets. And number 2, estimation techniques. For certain costs like dismantling or removal costs, you have to provide a reasonable estimation method in order to provide an estimate for these costs that you are going to pay in future, such as removal cost. Also, another example, if you are going to purchase a machine, think about what are the types of costs that you are going to spend in order to acquire the machine. First things first, that you have to provide purchase invoice from the supplier, and then you have to provide the customs if these customs are unrefundable, and also you might have shipping cost, insurance during the shipping or freight cost. So all of these costs are considered as part of the cost of the PPE assets. Now, the question here is, what if all of these invoices received except one invoice, for example, like shipping cost? So in this case, you have to recognize the asset in your books. So what if you didn't receive one of these invoices? You have to provide an estimate. And then once you receive the actual invoice, you are going to adjust the value of the asset if the value of the invoice is different from the estimate that you provided in the recognition prime. But if the cost cannot be measured reliably, so the asset wouldn't be recognized as PPE. For example, if a company builds a custom machine using salvaged parts and volunteer labor, accurately determining the cost might be challenging, making it difficult to recognize it as PPE. So at the end, these two criteria, which are probability of future economic benefits and the reliable cost measurement, act as gatekeepers, ensuring only the assets that meet both these criteria qualify as PPE and enter in the financial statements.